Today I'm going to talk a little bit about SharkBite fittings. These are push together fittings. They do have multiple names on them, but the most common name is SharkBite. You'll find that at Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware, True Value. This is a brass fitting. It uses these little barbs inside, and you can't see them that well, but it has these little barbs inside that holds the tubing in place. It uses an O-ring to compress against the outside of the pipe or the tubing. So that's where it makes it seal, and then the barbs are what holds this fitting onto the pipe. Now, you'll also notice that there's a sleeve, and that sleeve goes on the inside of the tubing, and what that's supposed to do is support the inside of the tubing so it doesn't collapse. So, I'm not a super big fan of these, but they are handy. I mean, if you have a situation where you need to get something fixed right away for temporary purposes, you could use one of these on mobile homes where you have the Quest tubing, that gray tubing that fails all the time. I mean, these are great for that. If you're joining Uponor, which is PEX A, and Vanguard, which is PEX B together, those are dissimilar plastics, so you don't have a common fitting to put those together. This would be a great common fitting to put those together, because most plumbers are in Camp A or Camp B, and they'll carry the Uponor products, or they'll carry the SharkBite or Vanguard products. So these little plastic inserts, sometimes they can be a problem, because if you're underneath the house or in an attic and you can't see very well, those sleeves can get caught up on the edge of the tubing so that the tubing can't go in all the way. So what you want to do is, once you get your pipe cut, which you'll use some cutters similar to this, and you just simply, if you've ever used cutters before, you just apply pressure and kind of twist a little bit, and then I'll cut off like that. Okay, so this is pretty much prepped already. The outside's nice and smooth. There's no tools or anything to use to chamfer this or to ream it out. So you're going to be joining this together with this fitting. This is an Uponor pipe. So what you want to do is you want to measure. So you'll measure to the end of this fitting, right there, to the end of that hub, and you'll mark it with your thumb on the back side here, to the end of this fitting. So you'll know how far that tubing has to go into that fitting to seat completely. Once you've done that, mark that spot with a pin, like this. Just mark it right there. Okay. So you'll have a point of reference on how far to push this fitting in. Now, if it gets caught up on that sleeve, that's going to be a pretty good indicator if you can't go in any further. And a lot of times, it'll be past the barbs as well, and so you'll have to cut this back out and put another fitting on. So the ideal conditions would be that you could actually get that sleeve to hang out of the end and line that tubing up so that that sleeve goes into the tubing. So we'll go ahead and do that. Push that on there. It's hanging up pretty bad. And then I get it to that point. Now, these are not easy to push together a lot of times, so I'll go ahead and push hard. Okay, and it's in. It's past that line. We're good. Now, the other side, let's say you're hooking to copper. So you want to make a transition to copper. A lot of people don't know how to solder. They don't have a soldering kit, or they just don't feel comfortable soldering, so they'll use a SharkBite fitting around the house. Always better to call a plumber, but if you're not gonna, then this is what you do. You would take this piece of pipe and prep it. So you want to ream the inside of it with your cutter. So this cutter has a built-in de-reamer, has a reamer right there to deburr this. And so you clean it really good. You get that burr out of there, and you can see the nice shiny area. And now I don't no longer feel a burr in there. Okay, then I'm going to clean up the outside, because obviously the outside has to be smooth for that O-ring to seat. So I'll clean that up really good. I don't feel any dents, and I don't feel like any bends in the pipe, so it should slide on pretty well. Now that sleeve, I don't believe is necessary for this side, because really this pipe doesn't need to be reinforced. It's very rigid. But when you pull those out, you can bend those barbs. So we're going to go ahead and leave that in there. And then we're going to try to slide this one together. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to mark it See if you can see this. So I'm going to mark it to the end of it like that. Just like that. Okay, and I'll take my pen and mark it. My thumb is. That's my point of reference. Then I'm going to try to get that sleeve to go inside. Okay, so I got it hanging out of the end so you can see it now. So there's the sleeve that's got to go inside of there. Now I could pull that out, but then I run a chance of damaging the fitting. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it in and see if I can get that pushed in all the way to that line. Apply pressure, twist it a bit. Okay, this one's super hard to get in. Okay, but we're in now. Okay, so that's a good joint. So the teeth are really digging into this plastic pretty well. I think it does a pretty good job. On the copper, I'm not so sure, because copper's, you know, it's a hard surface, and those teeth, they're like made out of aluminum, and they'll dig in. I mean, I've pulled them apart before, and they dig in pretty good, but I think under like a freezing temperature, extreme temperatures, that this could fail. I think it would do much better with this PEX tubing, but, you know, I'd rather like to see like a fitting pro-pressed on or soldered on here, and then use the proper sleeve and adapter to connect this up. But that's how you connect this SharkBite fitting. That's the proper way to do it. Like I said, it's not my preferred method, but when you're in a pinch, or, you know, you're doing something that like joining two dissimilar things together, sometimes that's your only way out. Thanks for watching this video. I'm asking you to subscribe and like. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.